guys, this is Wences. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about personal development for INFJs and how to create an epic life on your terms. Today we're looking a little deeper into the INFJ learning style. We're asking ourselves, what is the fastest way for an INFJ to get ahead? What is the fastest way for an INFJ to succeed in any area they take on? And the answer is that we have to look into the unique aspects of our personality traits. There are so many ways that people can grow with. There's so many ways that you can say, okay, if I take this path, then I'm gonna reach success in this sphere. But the truth is this, we have unique traits that can bring us to the next level of our life, no matter where we're at. And if we don't use them, then we're holding ourselves back and asking ourselves, why am I not tapping into my potential? Why are my gifts not being utilized? And it doesn't matter if you're in the finance world or you're in the art world. These are unique traits that have everything to do with your cognitive functions. Before we get started, I want to remind you, if you want my personal help in creating your INFJ Epic Life, then work with me privately or join the INFJ Epic Life Bootcamp waiting list. All the information you find in the link below. So let's get straight to the point. INFJs thrive in new and challenging environments. Environments in which barely any information is given. So it's not about improving something that already exists. It's about doing something that hasn't existed yet. So INFJs are able to create incredible results if they're being put into a black box, meaning you barely have any information and you're able to create a system with the information that you do have. Okay, this has everything to do with our first function, introverted intuition, in combination with our third function, introverted thinking. But here's the twist. What we very often do is that we stay in a particular circumstance and try to understand things better. We try to understand the person next to us better. We try to understand the system that we live in better. We want to improve it. But the fact is this, our third function isn't as strong as we want it to be. This is something I had to learn the hard way, and I know so many of you know that feeling. Our introverted thinking will mess things up if we allow that, because no matter what you think, it is flawed. If you have people around you who are really strong in their introverted thinking or in the way they present their thought system, it will spill over. We are not that skilled at staying really grounded into what we think, what we want, without external interference. This doesn't have to be a bad thing though. Remember, being impressionable, being able to absorb other people's emotions, thoughts, understanding what they want and who they are, that's part of introverted thinking as a third function as well. Because if you're somebody who had introverted thinking as their first function, it's very hard to understand people so well, because you're that much more focused on what your thought patterns are, what you believe is right, and therefore have a hard time tuning into other people. So there's always a payoff. We just have to be aware that this isn't going to lead us to success if we rely on TI by itself. That means we will not succeed if we stay in the same circumstance over and over again and we just try to get more specific in it. We try to get better at it. As in, you have found a person in your life and you say, okay, I would want to have a relationship with that person. Well, guess what? If that person never gives you new information, it's always the same story over and over again, and we try to get a new result. Remember, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a new result. We're not going to do that. We are going to find out what we can do so we thrive. In what circumstances do INFJs have an advantage point? We as INFJs have many advantages in different areas, but today we're going to talk about the advantage that we have when we take on something new and challenging, something that hasn't existed yet, something that we create, something that has minimum information at the start, because there we can create a new story. Just think of, where are you going to succeed? Are you going to succeed in a field that is already established, where people like the way the systems are working, they want you to play by the rules? Or are you going to succeed in a startup company? Are you going to succeed in an area where other people's lack courage maybe? But you're really good at creating new situations for yourself. You're really good at creating a new emotional atmosphere. You know that you're really good at creating a system that hasn't existed yet, because that's what the NITI combination is all about. NI is our state. NI is the world we live in our mind. It's the way we imagine things. And through TI, we give this state meaning. We create a system that works within that state. And in order to be able to continuously grow the fastest, we need to continuously input new information into our NI mind. This is extremely important. So if you want to grow, you need to say, I'm going to take on the next challenge. And once you figure this out, once you figure out, let's say 80% of it, you say, I'm open to the next thing. If you don't put new information into your system, you cannot create a better system that helps you to grow. It's like I've been in this small pond and now I go into a lake. Of course, in the beginning, I'm going to be a beginner. Of course, in the beginning, nobody's going to understand what I'm going to do or why I think the way I think because it's not evident yet. It hasn't been created in reality yet. But that's what INFJs are so good at. We are able to have a vision of how this could work out. And the more freedom you have to put your thoughts into action, to make it sustainable, to make it observable, to make it real, the better it's going to be for us. So if you're creating a system that hasn't existed yet and people have a hard time putting meaning behind it, you can do this. You can apply this to your career when you're in a corporate job. You can apply this to living out your vocation. You can apply this to the way you live your life. We are not going to succeed in the way we want unless we're willing to continuously take on new challenging things. And guess what? We can handle it. We can handle situations that other types might be scared of because we've done this often enough. We've been in circumstances where we had to create our own vision, where we had to create our own reality, where we didn't like what was going on outside in the world, so we created our own idea of how it could be. Use this to your advantage. And in order to do that, we have to use our second and our fourth function. So we talked about our first and our third function. It's extremely important to understand is we need continuously new information. So don't stay in a company where you can't grow that much. Go for the next big thing. Go for the thing that you're scared of. Go for the thing where you don't know how it's going to work out because you can trust that you've managed situations like this in the past. Maybe not exactly like this one, but you've been in a situation where you didn't know how it's going to work out and you were able to make it happen. But in order to do that, we have to actually take action and we have to voice what we do. We have to create a reality around it. We have to make other people understand it. So this is what the second and the fourth function are about. If you stay in the same company, if you stay in the same place, if you continue to obsess over the same person over and over again, not getting any new information into your system, so into your NI world, you cannot create a better system. A system that allows you not only to strive in this small pond, but also in this huge lake. We have to put ourselves in the lake and therefore be able to absorb new information and create a new system. In order to make that move into that big lake, so the next big thing in your life, meaning a better partnership, meaning I'm living out my vocation, meaning I'm going to take charge of my life and create the next step in my career, whatever it is, we have to first put ourselves in this new environment, not knowing how it's going to work out, not being able to understand how it's going to be. We have to trust that our mind will find a way. And that's what SE is all about. It's about taking action. So I really encourage you to continuously add new things to your life. The longer you do the same thing over and over again and you don't allow yourself to grow, to do something that is challenging, you will not be able to expand the system. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to quit your job or that you have to do something extremely different. Like I'm doing this channel for 6-7 years now, but I'm continuously adding things to my plate. I'm improving what I'm learning here, and through that learning process, and that's why we're talking about the INFJ learning style, I'm able to expand. I'm able to create a better life for myself where things are making more and more sense to me. I'm able to move so many parts of my life now that I wasn't able to 5 years ago or even 1 year ago because I'm continuously putting myself in a bigger sphere and I learn how to find a system in that. A new sphere that hasn't existed yet for us at that moment, and then we learn how to make it happen. So that's what SE is about. But let's not forget extroverted feeling. This is another component that we cannot neglect. So you see, it's all of those 4 functions that play together. So let me again round this up. NI we need in order to be able to thrive in an environment that hasn't existed yet. That's the NI being portrayed in the real world. Then we use TI to create a system that works. And once we create a system, we can work with it. We can live by it. Things become easy. We also need SE in order to create new information. So to make that jump from the pond to the lake, to the bigger lake, to the ocean, and therefore we need to take that action. We need to mobilize ourselves. We need to become that warrior and that fighter. I have videos on that. Use that passion. Make that jump. Have faith that things are going to move in your direction, that things are going to work out in your favor because you understand your learning style. Once you understand how you learn, you also understand how you thrive. And then we get to extroverted feeling. Extroverted feeling is all about making other people understand of the system that you have built. Because no matter what kind of idea you have, no matter what you believe in, no matter how you see the world, whatever makes sense to you, if you don't share it with anybody else, it's like it never existed. You cannot connect with people through that. You cannot create anchors that help you to bring that vision into reality. And you cannot grow if your entire world is only in your head. That's what we use FE for. FE is not just about creating harmony. It's also not about understanding others. FE is about creating. Remember, it's our second function. So it's our creative function. For us, it's to create an emotional atmosphere. An emotional atmosphere that allows others to connect with us because we speak the same language. It's a body language. It's the way our emotional atmosphere is happening in our world. If we give it a little twist, but everybody understands that it happens on the foundation that we all understand, it allows others to connect with you because you meet them where they're at. If you say something that nobody can connect with, if you do something in such a way that nobody is able to grasp, you're always going to feel alone. And we don't want that. We want to grow, and we want to grow with other people. We want to create a life which continuously allows us to grow, where we create relationships, where we create social circles, where we create joy and excitement and an epic life. And in order to do that, we have to meet people where they're at. So it's not just about like first, third, fourth, second function. It's about utilizing all of them. And that also means that we cannot go into the sphere of I'm only contemplating, I'm only going into my introverted functions. It will lead us to the NITI loop. Remember, that leads to depression. That leads to circumstances that we don't like. That leads us to living our life in our mind completely without feeling like we're growing. And every one of us who's done that knows that this doesn't feel good. We think it does because it can get very emotional, but in the end, something is missing. But if we want that all-fulfilling life, if we want to grow, if we want to succeed, if we want to take advantage of who we are, then we have to utilize all 4 of them. We have to take action. We have to share our truth. It doesn't have to be only verbally. It can be through the way you live your life. We have to be willing to put ourselves in unique and new and challenging circumstances because we have the courage to do that. And we know we can survive without having that much external feedback in the beginning. And then we use our introverted thinking to create a system that we can then share with the outside world and connect with people through that. That's the strategy that has gotten me here, that I use with all of my clients. That's the thing that makes us not only grow on paper, but that makes us say, I know I'm growing now. I know that I'm tapping into my potential now. It is never about how things look on the outside. It's about how you experience it. You know when you're tapping into your potential. You know when you're growing. And no matter what others are saying to you, no matter what you see on paper, if you feel like you're growing but your handbrake is on all the time, then getting into new challenging circumstances and playing out this game over and over again, that will be a huge part in your transformation. That's the way we learn. That's the way we grow. And therefore, we succeed if we take that direction. Remember, if you want my help with this, then work with me privately or join the INFJ Epic Life Bootcamp. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video on the INFJ Learning Style Exponential Learning Curve. Like always, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I'll talk to you next time.